So we got down as far as the enforcement contact with a team of people sent to the council. A couple of other things. We put a note in the BKM outward grants from the council, which is something we do at this time of the year. We invite local organisations to apply to us for a grant, and then we normally make those payments in January, I think, don't we? So it's in the BKM now. So we'll have another discussion about that in the course of time. The local clerks, I hope we have a meeting here in December. That's my colleagues around Lyncham, East Brent, West Huntsville, Lavington, etc. We haven't had one for some time. There's a lot of issues that we want to talk about. And so we're going to meet up here on December, whatever it is, 2nd, I think it is. So I assume the council's happy that we booked this room for a 2-hour meeting on behalf of the clerks locally. If there's any problem with that, just let me know. I sent out a note to you, to everybody. There was a guy who wanted to do a research project. Did you catch the details of that? Are you happy that that should happen?
Happy. Sorry, you look like you were.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I took a deep breath, so I read it. Don't fully understand why he's got to monitor. I'm not sure residents will be happy with children running around and somebody monitoring without a clear definition of what's actually happening. And we have had a few legal issues with burglaries in the area recently, so I would imagine we'll get some feedback from the public.
So should we ask him for more information?
I think so. It wasn't very clear how and what he was going to use the data for.
Okay.
Unless I've read it wrong.
Yeah, also if I could ask one question, I wasn't quite sure why we're necessarily the authority that gives him permission to do things on other people's equipment.
On the poles.
I mean, the poles are not their responsibility to us, it's down to...
Yeah.
I'll try and contact him and say that we're not entirely convinced at the moment that it's our responsibility to give you that authority.
Yeah.
But also, can you give us a bit more details about when it's going to happen?
I think people would have the right to ask, because he was talking about monitoring children in events and just going, whoa,
Safeguarding issues.
absolutely safeguarding.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Peter Hobley, Somerset Council, wrote a letter on rights of way matters. Did you pick up on that? Any issues that came from that, or anything we need to add to a future agenda, do you think?
I think the only thing I'd say is it's fairly obvious from what he's writing that Somerset are going to be doing less and less of their work on the foot paths. It may well be something we need to be building into our budget going forward if we're going to take any involvement in just keeping things under control.
Is there any chance, Bob, that we're going to get from the council, instead of this gradual removing, watering down, a definitive list so we can actually sit down and make some plans? Or are they in a position where they're not sure either?
Absolutely. At the moment, it's very much finding out what's, well, there's going to be a major restructuring taking place at the moment, and no one is quite sure what's coming out the other side of that, so what the capacity of the council will be to do what it used to do.
Yeah.
And they're basically saying ultimately they will not be able to do what they used to, and it's a question of which bits are left and which bits go. But yes, I mean, I'll give an update on the finances later, but they're still struggling.
But it's just that we've got to talk about precept at some point.
Yes.
And if we had that would be useful.
Yeah.
If we knew what we had to do.
Yeah.
It's quite important this time of year because we're looking at, as you say, budgets and precept next year. So
Yeah, and this is the time of year that we get all the issues with leaves and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Growth.
yeah, okay. So I'll just question mark at the moment and see what develops from it. Royal Mail concerns. I know Malcolm raised this a couple of meetings ago about poor delivery. So you've got some updates on that, so Malcolm. You've got some updated information on Royal Mail.
Malcolm.
Yes, I had word from somebody that a new schedule is to deliver every other day. I was also informed that they're getting a new manager at Burnham as well, which hopefully will improve things. Evidently, it's to do with staff shortages, but
I spoke to somebody in Royal Mail in London who's the sort of Royal Mail contact, and they said they looked into it, and they said there were at least 9 occasions in October when they feel that their delivery has been below par, having looked at, because they can look on their database and see exactly what's happening. It's all to do with low staffing. But it is safe. If anybody member of the public wants to query it, they can be contacted individually, but they're not too inclined to take too much notice of a parish council, because we don't actually, as far as they're concerned, have a postal address. So it needs to be somebody who's got a specific postal address that makes any complaints to them or queries the use of the service. So, but if anybody wants that contact, I can certainly provide it to them. Okay. And then finally, the surgery we had yesterday, parish surgery, Charlie came to that, and Bob. We didn't have a great deal of new stuff coming out of it. It was mostly drainage, wasn't it, Burton Row, speeding issues, which we'll come on to later with the ANPR thing. And George Brown gave us a letter which I'll circulate before we discuss it, because there's quite a lot on there. So I'll circulate it before the next meeting and add it to the agenda. Just some items that he's listed, things that we ought to look at. And that's it.
Thank you. Working group reports. So, any updates on the footpath team?
No.
Okay. And
Yeah, there was some photographs attached about footpath growth and overgrown, etc. that I noticed on some of the minutes.
yes,
Yeah,
Colin and then David.
I don't know what's happened with the stile in the corner of the Baker's, John Baker's field, which is still broken. The car park where David has done the hedging brilliantly has revealed a lot of litter up there in the hedges, and someone has celebrated Halloween up there and left litter, etc. And I just wonder whether we should invest, if we're going to be associated with the car park more, some litter picking stuff, so that we can go up and litter pick it every so often and whack it in the bin to keep it tidy, because at the moment people are dropping litter up there, and we wanted to look after it. It mustn't be an eyesore. And the biggest gripe is the Knoll footpath. It's a disgrace. Absolute disgrace.
David, do you want to comment, and then I'll come to Andy?
All I was going to say was, I was thinking about it on the way here actually. I wonder if we should, because footpaths seem to be brought up to me daily, and I think Amanda has the same, and various other people, but whether we should just, between us, when we're out walking, walk every single footpath over the next month, and any issues, compile them for next meeting, or put them in an email or something, that we just try and get on top of footpaths. I know it's the worst time of year coming up with, because it's going to go wet again, but it is a major one at the moment. I mean, I don't think that there's a lot of money to be spent on rectifying it, or we shouldn't be, but if we're aware of issues that are there or going to imminently be there, we could be on top of it a bit more, because some have got away. That's all.
Andy and then Amanda.
Just the car park at the top with the rubbish. There's no bin up there.
Yeah,
There is?
There is.
Okay, that's come up.
I mean, I could have picked the stuff up myself this morning, but I'm not going to go up there without proper gloves.
Yeah, I know.
In all honesty.
We did two things. The car park, we did touch on a while back about the person who did the green rotor to also do the car park and pick up the litter. We did kind of touch on that, but I don't think we finalised the decision. And the other thing, to go back to what David just said, these are footpaths that are being brought up. It is the same two that keep being brought up, and what Andy just mentioned, the parishioner who sent in the email with the photographs, it is the same footpath that we are bringing up every time. So it's just that we haven't finalised, like David said, what we're doing. And the Knoll one that is already that is in hand, and the one the Baker's Gate that is in hand. Right, well, by the way, I don't know if they gate was by there. That's already sorted, isn't it? It's just getting the fullness of time to. But I don't know if we should say that car park is on the incorporated with a green rotor.
would members be happy that we do that? That sort of whoever's on the green duty also just pops up and picks up the rubbish in the car park, as is what we do on the village green, is to pick it
Yeah,
up and
it's the
dump it in
same
the
thing,
bin.
isn't it?
But
We do, and I think it's the right thing to do, but there is quite a volume up there at the moment in centre. So is it right that parishioners, council members, have to pick that up, or do we look at somehow paying some agency? If we're going to be having more issues about clearing bins and dog bins coming up in the future, can we add that to it so that it's not the responsibility of people around the table? Responsibility around the table, absolutely, to pick it up occasionally, but it's quite a common practice up there. And in a few other places.
I quite often pick it up and take it home with me because there's so much of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
not
not
fair.
on Colin's comment. I mean, do people want to get a couple of litter pickers so that if people feel comfortable
I
picking
think
it
that's a
up
good
rather
idea,
than
yeah.
Yeah, I think those handle
Yes.
things, you know.
I think that's quite a therapeutic job. I like one with a spike.
Yeah, we're not
Okay,
giving you a
we
spike.
can we order a couple of those? Because I know we've done that in the past. We have for the village green.
Yeah, they could be stored up there somewhere.
Yeah, we can start the paedophiles with them.
Before we recorded.
Winning.
It's quite common these days for villages to organise the local residents to do a litter pick. Might be an idea if we could instigate something like that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
So if we get the litter pickers, if you're happy that members doing the green, keep an eye on it, and maybe we go up and blitz what's there now, and hopefully if it's then clear, it will help reduce it cropping up again. But I've not been up there in the last few days since you've cut.
Yeah, that's why it's worse.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
everything's come to light, between stuff in the hedge.
Right.
So the outcome of this is that we're going to have a meeting, you're going to have a look at all the footpaths, yeah? Is that what you're going to do?
It was a proposal of a blitz.
I
wasn't
look
it?
at everything.
And that'll fit in with us.
But then anyone that's out walking, not necessarily footpaths, offices.
Okay. And can we chase up the gate in the corner of the Baker's Field as well, which is with the other landowner?
We did have a chat among David at an audit meeting. We just throwing things around, and I'm concerned about that triangle of land up on the top where the electric fence is put, and there are 3 dogs I know that have had bad. Do you know where I am?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We're walking from the tanks across to Angela's gate, and what I was going to suggest, if correspondence or communications could be open with Mr. and Mrs. Olsop to see whether, when they are doing the fencing that they are doing, whether they would extend their fencing across there with a gate that leads from the triangle into the field that overlooks the valley, for want of a better word. If that fence was put up, it would stop, it would keep the public to that footpath, and they would not have people encroaching on their land at all, or dogs, and they wouldn't have the problem of putting up an electric fence. That's my suggestion, or we actually look at providing a fence and a gate, because that would solve a lot of the problems that I think we have up there. I don't know what you feel about that, but I think it's a
certainly
logical thing to do.
A possibility, and again, I think it might be useful just to actually get a number of members to meet on site up there, because getting your head around where the footpath is and where the extra bits are is not easy when you're in here. And I think we can then have that correspondence with the landowners.
Yeah, it just make it safer for everyone.
Yeah, you're right. And like what Bob just said, it's difficult to tell how far away the electric fence is from the, and they're, sitting in this room. It'd be a good idea to go up there and just look and have a.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else on footpaths? No. Anything on highways?
No.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
The corner of Brent Street, as before you turn into Station Road. That is definitely collapsed even though.
So
I know
that's
they've
on
still
the
got the
side farm.
fencing, yes.
That was one of the things that was raised at the surgery, so I think
Right.
again, we could, as it's come up here as well, we can certainly report that to Highways that their safety fence is now fallen into the ring as well as.
And it's definitely got
Yeah.
wider, yes.
That's opposite West Offside
Yes.
on Brent Street. Okay. Update council on village. Yeah. So who was on the village green list?
Me.
Um,
Well, I mean, other than,
Right.
yes, very, very bad. And I must admit, I did notice the play report said about the netting by the net. I hadn't seen that. But I mean, yes, it's just very wet and otherwise it was tidy. And they have been interested in the grass, which is amazing. And yes.
Okay. On that, our members, we obviously had the notification from GB Sports who were saying, I think there were a couple of attached photos which showed the end of the wire is sticking out. They
Yeah.
said, I think there was a quote for, I think it was over £1,000 to replace